Natalists and antinatalists will sometimes agree that life is headed for extinction, but then disagree on what to do until then. The antinatalist will say, end it now, because the best we can do is reduce suffering. The natalist will say, continue on, because things are getting better. Although if that were the case, life wouldn't be headed for extinction. Parallel to the atheist, recognizing the pertinence of now by giving up the notion of an afterlife, the antinatalist recognizes ways of reducing suffering by giving up the natalist notion of a life of attainment of satisfaction. The antinatalist is freed up to reduce suffering in the same way that an atheist is freed up to acquire genuine justice rather than a God justice or afterlife justice. The natalist escapist compromise merely covers up dissatisfactions with fantasy, so that unresolved dissatisfactions will always be reflected in the fantasy. Fantasy reinforces agony. It's a masochistic exercise that feeds agony. Entertainment as distraction turns attention away from the broken machine, thus exposing one to risk of suffering. Clinging to suffering reduces one's ability to reduce the suffering of others, and reduces one's ability to recognize ways to reduce suffering, easy ways to reduce suffering, and even risk-free ways of reducing suffering, while reducing one's capacity for suffering reduces that of others, and is the closest thing to a genuine escape. So if natalists cannot reduce suffering because they are debilitated by fantasy, how can a natalist justify telling others to continue on to their extinction?